That nickel 9. Yeah. 5-9J. Let me speak my mind up. It's just me keeping it real. Keeping it 100. Let's go. Yeah.
Yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed. And like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. With that being said, man, I watched the crazy news coverage about it. I read the article about it. You know, I'm a little bit confused. I have some questions. I'm going to speak my mind, and I want everybody in the comments section to speak theirs as well, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But let me give you guys the information first, and then we'll all debate about it, elaborate about it together in the comment section. So, you know, them boys across the border, them cartel dudes, them bosses, they got linked to a crime ring that took place in actually Delano. The first encounter and the first crime investigation about it was in the city of Delano, and then it crossed over to Tulare. And then from Tulare, Kings County, and from Kings County all the way to Stanislaus County. So the first situation that took place, so to speak, is a truck driver who was heading to Mexico. I guess he stole some heavy equipment, some heavy equipment from the agricultural business, basically the farmlands. For those who don't know, Tulare County, pretty much the Central Valley, a little bit up north, that's the farmland. That's where we grow the agriculture. That's where we get all our produce. A big percent of Americans get our produce. You know, we ship it out everywhere. We grow it. That's what California is known as, the farmland. It's the agricultural land. And these guys were stealing heavy equipment. Young foot soldiers, young Mexican cartel members linked to the bigger cartels across that border are stealing heavy equipment, agricultural equipment, and they're putting it on trucks and having those trucks cross that border and make it to the other side. So first and foremost, I'm like, bro, that doesn't make a lot of sense whatsoever at all, period. I'm going to say that one more time, period. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Multi-billion-dollar cartel business, and they're in the United States stealing our tractors and stealing our equipment from our farmlands, from our farm workers, from our immigrant farm workers. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So, you know, I listened to the article, I watched the news coverage, and pretty much $2.23 million worth of equipment was being stolen from agricultural businesses in the Central Valley going up north. And they're shipping that equipment with truck drivers going back to Mexico. Now, we're not talking about funding the cartel with, you know, weapons. The whole ATF scandal that took place when a lot of American people were sending weapons from the United States across that border and funding the cartels with the wars. We're not talking about that. Now we're funding them with our tractors and our trailers and our whatever it is that people use to, you know, grow our produce in California. These guys are stealing it. So basically, the dude in Delano, he's a truck driver. The equipment that he stole had a tracker on it. That tracker led him and he got busted in Delano. So dude starts talking. This is who I work for. This is who paid me. This is what they wanted. This is what I retrieved. This is what I put on the truck. This is where I was going. In doing that, they managed to find another truck driver, a truck driver that was in the city of Tulare, my hometown. And I already talked about the Zetas being in Tulare County. I already talked about the Sinaloa cartel being in Tulare County. I've spoken on many cases and many drug busts of the Sinaloa cartel getting busted in Tulare and Kings County. It's the farmland. I've always said Tulare County and Kings County are the heartland of mafiosos, whether it's the carteles or whether it's the NF. A lot of big people come out of these areas. So they go to Tulare and bust another heavy equipment theft ring that's going on. Tractors, whatever they use. That's the only thing I know of is a tractor. That's all I can think of. But they bust that one. That truck driver that was going towards Mexico started talking as well. Then Stanislaus County, they bust somebody else. All together, they busted all these truck drivers, all trafficking heavy equipment across that border, and bam. It's estimated over $2.23 million worth of heavy equipment. And the way they titled it during the press conference is, yes, these were Mexicans linked to the Mexican drug cartel. These were low-level players that were doing it on behalf of the Mexican drug cartel, and they got busted. And there's a lot of people singing in this little crime ring that took place that got busted. So I'm like, okay, multi-billion dollars when it comes to drug smuggling. They have different business ventures that we've heard about. You know, they deal a lot with China. They got a lot of business endeavors going along with China, money laundering, especially with China. They do phone scams. They scam. There's an article that they talk about. They scam a lot of the older people over the phone using telecommunication towers and or those centers that are going on in Mexico. They scam a lot of old people for money. They're involved in any little thing that can make a dollar, right? But what they're mostly known for, what they're notorious for, is trafficking drugs across that border and trafficking US dollars across the border back to them. It's one of the things, that's the only two things you really pay attention to, right? I just find it real hard to believe that these dudes found a hustle to go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to send a bunch of people to the United States. Obviously, they're going to, you know, handle our drug business, set up our little casitas, our little trap houses, our little spots. We're going to make some businesses, some fronts, launder some of this money, get this money back to Mexico. But while we're at it, let's go steal some tractors. Matter of fact, because think about it, right? If you go to Mexico and you read the articles about Mexico, you'll hear about like the avocado business. They extorted the avocado businesses. They extort the coffee businesses. They extort the tobacco businesses. They extort anything that they can get their hands on. But they do it on that side of the border. Now, for them to come over here and say, you know what, we're going to start doing it on this side of the border. Obviously, a lot of cartel members have been getting busted. We've been seeing it all over the news. Obviously, these dudes are getting hefty times, hefty charges, and facing U.S. prison systems and our judicial system, which they're afraid of. And we've seen that the Mexican cartels are afraid to do jail time. Trust me, I got more videos to talk about that. We know these guys want to come across that border and bring fentanyl, bring drugs, bring whatever substance that they can supply the U.S. demand with. Okay, we understand that about them. I just cannot wrap my head around this whole crime ring about we're going to just steal all the agricultural equipment and take it back. Like, is that their way of saying they're going to use some of our best products, our American-made products, our designs, our heavy equipment to help them grow their poppy fields, their opium fields, their whatever it is that they're producing, their marijuana fields? Because they do come over here and establish themselves and grow hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of acres of pot. They grow their weed out here in America. They're known for growing their weed in America. We've seen multiple busts when it comes to them growing their bunk weed in America. But for them to start robbing agricultural businesses and really risking, you know, truck drivers, risking, I mean, you can send a lot of stuff back from the United States crossing that border, since this quote unquote open border policy, which I'm very unfamiliar with. I just hear both sides to that argument. If it's that easy, you can cross a lot of stuff back and forth, right? I mean, I just don't understand. I just can't wrap my head around the heavy equipment part, why they need to rob our farmlands and our farm workers, so to speak. Not to mention that most of our farm workers, in reality, are farmeros that produce our agricultural businesses and the fruits that we eat and the vegetables that we eat are most of the time immigrants. Most of the time Mexicanos that crossed that border, came over here to work. They're getting exploited now, because how are they supposed to grow all our produce and everything that we eat and everything that we provide and buy at the grocery stores when they ain't got the equipment to use it? Now, this ring got busted pretty fast. I don't see it being a continuance with these guys, but you mean to tell me multi-billion-dollar cartels are really focused on stealing and petty theft? Well, I can't say petty theft, but theft of just regular equipment, farmland equipment. You guys can't afford that? You guys can afford RPGs, army tanks, some of the highest top-of-the-line satellite phones to talk across the world without being tracked or detected. And you want to come to America and steal a tractor? Does not make a lot of sense to me. But I read the comment in the comment sections. A lot of people were infuriated with, Gavin Newsom. One dude just said he was disgusting and despicable for letting this happen. And I'm like, bro, it's not like Gavin Newsom just knows that there's cartels in California and they're going about things their way. Of course, the cartels, no matter what governor that we have or they have, these dudes are going to cross that border and do whatever they want and try to get away with it as much as possible and make millions of dollars off the American soil and the American people. Can't argue that, right? I don't know why dude was just like, Gavin's this and Gavin's that. Gavin disgusts me for allowing this to even happen. Okay, you're going to say that about cartels, but are you going to really say the same thing about criminals? Are you going to say the same thing about people that commit crimes in America, especially in California, where California is really gang infested? You know how many sex trafficking articles that I read on a daily that takes place just in the state of California? You can argue that American people are doing it. We can't just blame people that are crossing that border for all this chaotic mess that's going on, all these drugs, all these murders, and all this other crazy stuff that's happening in the state of California. I mean, we can't blame the governor for that. We can't say, hey, bro, you're not doing your job by cleaning up the streets. Crime's been happening since the beginning of time. Everybody indulges in crime, and crime is going to continue to take place. Organized crime is going to continue to take place. A lot of people are like, open border this and open border that, blame Kamala, blame Biden. And I'm just like, okay, I get your guys' perspective, right? One dude made a crazy argument. He goes, all right, man, since you guys want to complain about open border policy and you guys blame stuff like this, these cartels, these immigrants, this and that, they're crossing the border fairly easy. He goes, any one of you guys that are documented as American citizens, go cross that border, but try to come back without paperwork. Try to come back without your passport or your ID. See how hard it really is for you to come back into the States. And I sat there and I was like, bro, I never crossed that border. I've never been to Mexico. I'm not sure if I want to go to Mexico. But dude had a valid point. He's like, if it's that easy, if it's that much of an open border policy, go ahead. Go to Mexico real quick because it's really easy to get into that country. Then try to come back. Just without your ID, without passport. Let's see if it's really open. And I was just listening to the argument in the comment section. I was like, ooh, man, I'm telling you, there's bigger topics to discuss about other than gang politics and prison politics, and I would like to get into them one day. But you guys tell me what you guys think in the comment section, because I find it so hard to believe. Maybe the media just painted it that way, because I know a lot of people have educated me like, hey, watch out what media you watch and this and that. They have a way with words, a way of, clickbait thumbnails, the way they caption it and phrase it. But the title was labeled Mexican drug cartels linked to agricultural theft and arrests. That's what the title says. So as I'm reading the article, they continuously blamed these kind of thefts, this heavy equipment that was being stolen, on members of the Mexican drug cartel traced back to Mexico. So I had to give you the article on face value. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section. So with that being said, like I always say, is one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.